What's up, guys? This is Anime Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What of Naruto Was the Red Flash Part 40. And if you did enjoy the video, get us a like. And if you're new my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Back on Earth 1, Chapter 13. Central City, October 2015. 6 months had passed since the singularity incident in Central City, and the city was doing better than ever.
FEMA was still investigating the abrupt appearance of the black hole over the city, including taking a tour and in-depth look at the arc reactor and the particle accelerator ring.
That was cause for alarm, but Barry, Cisco, and Gaara made certain that everything was pristine and that there were no metahumans in the containment cells since Star Laboratories began manufacturing and supplying anti-metahuman power dampener cuffs and generators for the police in Iron Heights.
Cisco and Gideon made certain that the FEMA personnel did not discover anything they were not allowed to.
FEMA teams spent the entire day examining Star Labs and receiving information for their investigations, with Gideon on the lookout for corporate espionage.
During the initial press reports, the FEMA director stated that there was no proof of any form of experiment or foreign substance that would point to Star Laboratories as the cause of the black hole appearance, but that they were still investigating.
At the time, they assumed that a metahuman fight between the Flash and an unknown metahuman was the reason, and considering all that had transpired in the city with metahumans, it was a feasible and not wholly incorrect possibility. At the very least, it deflected the unfavorable attention away from Star Labs. Gaara, Cisco, and the others were kept busy by new transactions and such, while also assisting the city through charitable gifts and such that would have made Naruto proud. Barry was working extra hours to help repair companies and buildings that had been damaged or destroyed by the singularity. Despite all, the loss felt by Naruto and Ronnie's sacrifice was palpable, especially to their loved ones.
Linda Park was at the condo she shared with Naruto.
It had been their house, and now it was just her and Kurama's. Kurama was lying down on the couch, next to a mound of pillows and blankets, with a bottle of wine on the coffee table. Linda had come home from work and hastily changed into sweatpants before placing her Thai takeaway alongside Kurama's meal of fruit and pork. She moved over to the coffee table and placed the plates on it, where Kurama slowly rose and nibbled on his food while she walked over to the TV and inserted a DVD. She set the case containing Supernatural Season 9 down and grabbed the remote before reclining on the couch, wrapping herself in a blanket, and delving into her Thai cuisine. Linda was a huge fan of the show and owned all of the DVDs. Despite the fact that it was on Netflix, she preferred viewing the DVD, and despite having seen the season, she was rewatching the entire episode. God was observing her in the living room, unbeknownst to her. He was taking a fast tour around Earth, something he does more often than you'd imagine, and observing humanity as well as the rest of his creations, occasionally performing tiny miracles. There's nothing more earth-shattering than bestowing powers on someone or mentoring another Noah before a new flood. It's only minor details. The innocent single mother of 3 who worked 2 jobs and would have been killed in a vehicle accident if she hadn't been delayed in traffic for a minute. Such minor details. God gazed at Linda and the TV on the main menu for the Supernatural DVD before snapping his fingers and disappearing.
For a brief while, the TV froze as Linda began episode 1 and sipped her wine.
While Linda ate her takeaway and watched her TV, Kurama continued to nibble on his supper. She completed her food around the conclusion of the first episode and her wine near the halfway of episode 2 before going up to wash the dishes. She was about to finish the dishes and pour herself another glass of wine when she heard some yipping. Kurama sprang up on the couch and dashed over to the TV, yipping at the screen as if he saw a squirrel. "What's wrong, buddy?" Linda approached the TV and noticed it was showing a scene from the episode. Sam and Dean arrived at the dead, abandoned village that Abaddon had instructed them to visit in order to save their captured pals. She'd watched this episode previously, and while it wasn't her favorite, it also wasn't her least favorite. Nothing appeared wrong, so she assumed Kurama wanted to go outside and play, but when Sam and Dean burst into the diner, she couldn't believe her eyes.
Sam and Dean kicked in the diner door, ready to save Irv and Tracy, but they were met with an unexpected newcomer in Naruto or an actor who looked precisely like him. "I don't remember this being a part of the episode," Linda mumbled as she let it go.
"Are you okay, Irv?" Dean inquired. "Yeah, we're okay. Kid discovered us and set us free." Irv indicated the newcomer.
"Who exactly are you?" Sam inquired, and this Naruto impersonator appeared to be analyzing their arrival before responding.
I'm Naruto. He was the one who introduced him. Linda was surprised and couldn't believe it when she dropped the remote. Naruto was the character in question. He simply stated his name. He was there in the diner wearing new clothing and carrying a little backpack with Sam and Dean Winchester.
What in the world was going on? The following day,
Barry stood in the brain of Star Labs, staring at his suit on the mannequin display and the empty mannequin next to it, which was supposed to house Naruto's suit.
He was by choice alone in the cortex. Cisco, Gaara, and his siblings were present and worked for the firm, but not with Team Flash.
They were swamped with work, despite the fact that the acquisition of Stag Industries as a Star Labs subsidiary helped relieve the load just slightly. Barry also assisted, notably in ensuring that they could continue to create raw starium for shipment to Wayne Enterprises, where it was refined and distributed.
Because Star Labs was the only facility with an operating arc reactor, starium could only be created there.
Recent shipments to Wayne Enterprises have steadily increased since its public disclosure, and after refining and use in Wayne Enterprises products, orders from other firms looking for tantalum substitutes have been flowing in. Suffice it to say, a man-made element capable of doing the same thing for microchips and transceivers as a natural element caused some tremors. Certain mining companies and processors in other countries were already dissatisfied. Even while Barry assisted with tasks that required multiple hands, he handled everything involving the Flash on his own. Gideon remained connected to Star Laboratories and was able to dip into satellite feeds and police radio channels to notify him of any emergencies. He would go handle any emergency, not just police emergencies. He worked long hours to help repair businesses and buildings wrecked by the singularity, but he did so alone. Not for a lack of effort on the part of Cisco or Iris, but Team Flash had disintegrated and he wasn't the only one. Caitlin left Star Labs to work for Mercury Labs when Ronnie and Naruto died, and no one blamed her, but she hadn't spoken to anybody since. The squad was shattered, and it didn't appear that it would ever come back together. Beeping. Barry's gaze was drawn to a monitor, which informed him that something was wrong. CCPD have reported a robbery at the Central City National Bank on Bleecker Boulevard. Gideon notified him. Thanks, Gideon. Barry hurriedly grabbed his suit and dressed before driving out of the building. His haste caused some Weathersby and Stone envelopes to fall over. Star Laboratories and Dr. Wells were represented by the law firm. The letters were addressed to Barry and stamped with the term urgent. While running, Barry couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. My name is Barry Allen, and I am the world's fastest man. My mother was slain by something impossible when I was a child.
My father was incarcerated for her murder. Then, due to an accident, I was transformed into the Flash.
I used my abilities to track down the individual responsible for my mother's death. I believed I had finally gotten justice for my family, but I was wrong. And I wasn't the only one who had to pay the price for my mistakes. 6 months have passed since the singularity. I'm now on my own. It was decided that manner is superior. It protects the individuals I care about. There is just one thing I can do at this point. I run. Detective Joe West of the CCPD finished submitting some paperwork on a case he was working on and headed over to the outgoing pile to head to the DA's office. After a commercial break, the TV switched back to Channel 52 News. It started with some human interest tales, weather, and sports before moving on to news about Star Laboratories, which was actually a weekly occurrence. Because Star Laboratories were in Central City, Channel 52 News, CCPN, and other local news stations had plenty of consistent work. Central City is seeing an increase in the number of Star Labs. They now own Stag Industries, which was made a subsidiary of Star Laboratories and served as a platform for producing the plethora of patents and goods that Star Laboratories, specifically Naruto, had preserved on files.
Hundreds of projects utilizing cutting-edge technologies.
Stag Industries had already begun selling its first batch of holographic smart workstations and hard-light holographic projectors to various companies for a significant sum of money. The arc reactor was still roaring, and the arc reactor-fueled power cells and new battery technology were a technological revolution. Star Laboratories had already annihilated the competition with something really advanced. Gaara had signed partnerships with data and cellular providers in advance of the release of the Star Labs smart watches in October.
Apple and Samsung were feeling the heat of rivalry.
Naruto's oxyhydrine bacteria was supplied to several international green and eco-friendly charity groups, allowing for greater cleanup and environmental rehabilitation. There was also a major news story about how an eco-charity group employed Star Laboratories' oxyhydrine bacteria to clean up vast landfills and garbage-filled areas in India, South America, and the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The Star Labs Tower in Central City had its solid foundations erected, allowing construction on its interior to begin, while the renovation work in Los Angeles and New York had been completed, allowing those old warehouses to be converted into Star Labs campuses and arc reactor stations. And, as a result of the Star Labs Wayne Enterprises collaboration, both companies and their employees made a lot of money, with a percentage of it going to various philanthropic causes. Of course, along with the wonderful news came some bad news and questions. Many competing tech companies and such were suffering as a result of Star Laboratories' advancement. Those were largely financial backers or shareholders with significant assets in the energy and mining industries, which Naruto's advances harmed. Mining and element firms, in particular, have suffered as a result of Star Labs' Starium.
Profits and stock prices for companies headquartered in tantalum-producing countries had been steadily declining since Naruto revealed Starium months ago, and they had continued to fall.
Companies no longer required to pay them for tantalum when they could acquire Starium, which could be used in the same way for producing microchips and such, but without the need for exorbitant fees or inflated shipping rates because it could be created in the United States. And, despite their smear campaigns, Starium performed exactly as well as tantalum at everything it was designed for, which enraged them even more. Tantalum mining companies in South America, Africa, and China were struck hard. And it wasn't just them, the major players in traditional energy, such as oil, were also concerned. Their main opponent was arc reactor technology, and they were fortunate that there was only one city at the time when an arc reactor was really developed, but they were preparing for war to halt that. Joe was watching the news when it switched to an old video call interview Naruto had with Channel 52 News about everything. However, the news reporter did mention out that the interview was done through video call because Naruto couldn't make it to the studio. He was too preoccupied. That was something only Team Flash and family knew because it wasn't Naruto, but Gaara utilizing Gideon and Cisco's facial alteration software to make it appear as if Naruto was answering and performing all those interviews. Naruto wanted Gaara to keep the company operating, but they'd been doing the same thing for 6 months, so a part of them was wondering when they'd have to lift the veil and confess to the public that Naruto was no longer alive, just like Dr. Wells. The news was having a field day when they announced that Dr. Harrison Wells perished during the Singularity event. Everything he possessed, including Star Labs, had been entrusted to Naruto, thus he now owed everything, yet he wasn't even present. Following the replay of the old video call interview, the news highlighted the Flash Day celebration that would take place later this week in honor of the city's Scarlet Speedster and his efforts to save the city from the black hole. The mayor was even planning on handing him the key to the city. Joe felt a tingle in his pocket and took out his phone to find a message from Iris instructing him to get to Star Labs. He grabbed his jacket and ran because it was an emergency. Barry was up in his lab, finishing up paperwork for the many cases he was working on when he noticed someone stroll in. He didn't recognize the man in the business outfit. "Mr. Allen. Mr. Barry Allen." "Yeah," Barry said as the man entered.
"My name is Greg Turk, and I'm an attorney at Weathersby and Stone. I don't usually make house calls, but I've been trying to reach you for several months."
"Yes, yeah, I'm really sorry, I've just been really busy with police work." "I understand, but I came to see you because of something Harrison Wells left to you as part of his living trust. I would have given it to you at his funeral, but I didn't see you there." "For you." Greg Turk took a flash drive from his jacket and handed it to Barry. "He just left this."
"What exactly is it?" Barry asked. "A video message drafted by Dr. Wells." "What's on it, and have you seen it?" Barry inquired.
"No, he was very specific. It was only to be watched by you. The device will send me a notification after you've viewed it, and business will be concluded at that point," Greg Turk said before leaving. Barry pondered the contents of the flash drive in his hands. He had no idea what Thawne had left him, and a part of him didn't want to watch it. When his computer notified him of a presence in Star Laboratories, he was jolted out of his reverie. He stuffed the flash drive into his pocket and dashed back to Star Labs. He went to see Cisco, Joe, Iris, and Professor Stein at the Cortex. "What are you guys doing here?" said Barry. "I'm not sure. We were just told to be here," Joe explained. "By whom?" Barry inquired as Linda and Kurama entered the room. Linda explained, "I called them here because there is something you guys need to see because I saw this last night and I've spent all the time in this morning trying to figure out exactly what is going on and I'm starting to lose my mind." She sounded anxious and a touch manic, but not quite insane. It was more like there was something important they needed to hear.
"Linda, what's going on?" Barry inquired, but she didn't respond and instead inserted a disc into the computer, which was displayed on the enormous screen. They came upon the main menu of a supernatural DVD. "You brought us here to watch a TV show?" Professor Stein inquired.
"Just watch," Linda said, pulling up the second episode of Season 9 and fast-forwarding to the time in the show where Sam and Dean arrived in the abandoned village to save their pals. Those who have seen the anime would know this, but as the brothers burst into the meal with their pals, they saw Naruto. "What on earth?" Joe mumbled, as the others were astounded. The scene proceeded, as they saw Naruto assist Sam and Dean and even use his skills against Abaddon. Then, at a gas station, Naruto was able to completely explain what was going on to Sam and Dean, and he revealed that he was a multiversal traveler.
"Does Naruto have a secret twin that we don't know about?" Cisco speculated.
"No, Naruto's an only child, and it's not just some actor. And it's only on my DVD that this happens. I bought other DVDs and they didn't have it, nor did episodes on streaming sites. I even checked the end credits at the end of the episode, and it credits Naruto in his full name. So, can someone please tell me what's going on?" Linda asked, only to be met with puzzled looks.
Maybe." Well, Iris, Joe, Barry, and Professor Stein couldn't put into words what they had just witnessed. Cisco replied, "Yeah, I don't have an explanation."
Joe inquired, "When did you notice this happen?" "Last night.
I just finished eating dinner and was doing dishes. Kurama started yipping at the TV when it came to this part and that's what happened."
"I mean, I thought I was losing my mind and just seeing him, but then Naruto says he's a multiversal traveler and mentions me by name and the fact that actor who plays Sam Winchester is on my freebie list. I don't know how, but that's him. It has to be," Linda explained. Many of them shared an unsettling expression because the clip could be interpreted as a mourning loved one clutching for straws, but it wasn't. They had no idea what was happening. "Look, Linda, we all want to believe Naruto is still alive, but how? And why would he appear on a supernatural DVD?" Iris inquired. "I don't know, but I know Naruto. He's crafty, smart, and never gives up. If there's even a chance he's still alive, I know he'd find a way," Linda said.
"And we agree, Linda, but the fact is that we don't have much to go on," Barry explained. "Perhaps the DVD and video evidence might be able to give us some much-needed information," Professor Stein suggested, and Gideon's hologram head appeared on the workstation.
"I took the liberty of researching the series and discovered that Ms. Parks is the only one that contains this abnormality," Gideon explained. "An in-depth analysis of the DVD and its contents, as well as my scans, picked up an unusual energy signature, but one I am unable to identify. So that energy signature could be the cause of the Mandela effect in real life," Cisco speculated as he moved up to the computer and ejected the disk. "The question is, what is it, and where did it come from?"
Cisco was speaking when he touched the disk, and everything around him began to blue shift and distort. The others were gone, and he was no longer at Star Labs. He looked around and realized he was in some type of blue light tunnel where things were flowing quicker than he could process them. Everything was a haze. That's when he spun around to see Naruto speeding through the blue light tunnel. He had the same lightning trail he recalled, but he was clothed similarly to the supernatural episode.
"Naruto, is that you?" Cisco exclaimed, attempting to gain his attention. "Naruto. Cisco, Cisco, Cisco." Gasp. Cisco's vision returned to normal, and he gasped for oxygen before collapsing, as if his skull had just been through a meat grinder. "Cisco." Barry and Joe supported him and sat him down. "What happened?" Cisco inquired, still shaken by what had just transpired to him. "We were hoping you'd tell us. You went to get the DVD and then you just froze," Joe explained. "Are you all right?" "I saw him," Cisco said, and everyone glanced at him, puzzled. "I saw Naruto. He's still alive." X line break. As Professor Stein completed using one of the scanning devices and medical tools to check Cisco, Iris strolled out of the adjoining med lab with some Advil and a bottle of water. Iris handed Cisco the Advil and said, "Here. Thank you," Cisco said as he dipped them in the water. "Gideon, how am I?" "You're just suffering from a minor overstimulation of your cerebral cortex caused by your vision," Gideon explained. "I've scanned no damage to your brain, but your sodium level is a little high, so I'd suggest a change in your diet by cutting out the excess Big Belly burger and pizza pockets,"
he said, duly noted. "So, what happened to Cisco, Gideon?" Barry inquired. "When Cisco made contact with the disk, it activated his powers and triggered a dimensional awareness vision," Gideon explained.
"I'm sorry, can someone please explain what that means?" Joe asked, perplexed. Linda inquired, "Gideon, could you please elaborate?" Of course, Cisco's recent vision and his past vision are linked to his powers. He is what is known as a Viber. Vibers are metahumans who have the ability and a link to harness the energy of the multiverse, granting them unique abilities, one of which is dimensional awareness, which enables the user to perceive various events throughout space and time, Gideon explained. "Okay, that didn't really help much," Joe observed. "Amazing," Professor Stein replied. "If what Gideon is saying is true, then Cisco's powers are definitive proof of the many-world theory, that interaction with alternate worlds is plausible."
"I'll be honest, I'm not sure what's going on here," Joe said.
"Perhaps some visual aid would be helpful," Gideon said before projecting a holographic map of many related Earths, each identified with a number. "Whoa," Iris exclaimed in surprise. "Gideon, what exactly are we looking at?" Barry inquired. "This is the map of the multiverse created in the future by Naruto with the assistance of individuals such as Mr. Ramon and Professor Stein, among others. At the time of its creation, they organized and classified 52 known Earths in the multiverse but estimated that there are likely more than 1 billion others in existence yet to be discovered," Gideon explained. "You all live on Earth 1, ironically at the center of the multiverse. All of these Earths exist in the same location in space, but each has a unique vibrational trans-dimensional frequency that keeps them hidden and isolated from one another." Incredible. Gideon has just proven decades of scientific theory on the multiverse theory as well as exotic matter. "Astonishing," Professor Stein said as he was apprised of the century's biggest scientific discovery.
Joe stated, "Okay, I'm still confused." Professor Stein walked over to the multiverse hologram after Cisco remarked, "Bless your heart."
Perhaps some more explanation. As Gideon just explained, we reside here on Earth 1. This is our planet, our history, everything we hold dear. But on these other Earths exist other versions of ourselves nearly identical to ours or not so identical to ours, and they all exist at the same time giving us endless alternatives to what we have here. And there are other Earths that could explore what-if questions we've always had. What if President Kennedy was never assassinated? What if the dinosaurs never went extinct? What if monkeys evolved into the dominant species of the planet? Endless possibilities all out there, but they exist at a unique plane of energy that make it so we can't see or interact them. Except for one of us, as it seems Mr. Raymond's unique metahuman powers give him a link to that unique energy. So, Cisco's powers aren't just visions, but instead give him a link into other worlds. Fine, but how could he see Naruto? He's dead, right? Joe pointed out, and they all thought about it. I'm not trying to ruin your mood, but we all saw the giant black hole in the sky, and Naruto and Ronnie didn't make it back. They're gone. So, it could be a doppelganger of Naruto that Cisco saw. Iris speculated.
"Okay, but what about the DVD?" Linda asked. "I mean, you all saw it. It's our Naruto. He sounds the same, he mentions us by name, and everything. Perhaps he's not dead after all and is trapped on some parallel Earth?"
Barry inquired. "Gideon, is that possible?" "It's a possibility. The singularity over Central City did contain trans-dimensional energy, so in theory when it was closed, Naruto and Mr. Raymond could have been pushed through to another Earth. If he's alive and on another Earth, I wouldn't be able to contact him because my software and programming does not extend beyond this Earth," Gideon said, giving them hope that Naruto was alive but trapped somewhere else. "If Naruto is still alive, we need to find him," Linda said. "Hold on, Linda. We all want to believe he's out there, and you're right. He's a fighter who would do anything to stay alive, but we're going on a hunch here. We don't even know if that's really him. We need more information," Joe said as Cisco stared at the DVD. Then let's go get some. Cisco moved over and touched the DVD again, but nothing occurred. He just stood there, not being struck by another image. Nothing is happening. Why isn't anything happening? Gideon, what's the matter? Your dimensional awareness visions require specific triggers to activate, and you don't have complete control of your abilities, so the chances of triggering another vision at this time are slim. I would recommend making some adjustments to the ultra-frequency stimulant goggles you used to recover your vision several months ago. Gideon projected some technical blueprints for them to follow. I believe that once these adjustments are made, controlling your visions will be much easier. Looks doable. Professor Stein, care to help? Cisco inquired. Professor Stein said, my pleasure. I'll let you know as soon as they're ready, Cisco said to Linda, who nodded. All right, I'm going to tell Gaara, then Tsunade and Shizune, because they deserve to know what's going on, Linda remarked as she walked away. Cisco and Professor Stein arrived at the workshop and began work on upgrading Cisco's goggles. Barry then exited the cortex and went over to the cosmic treadmill chamber for some alone time. When Iris watched him leave, she went over to her father. Iris said, Joe, Dad, you need to talk to him. About what? Joe inquired. About stopping this lone wolf thing. He's been pushing us back for months, but no longer. If Gideon and Linda are correct and Naruto is out there, then we're all needed. Barry can't do this alone anymore, Iris said, and Joe moaned in tiredness. He knew she was correct.
That's his plan, and I'm not sure how to talk him out of it. Right now, I'm just trying not to push him away. Well, maybe Barry has been so successful at pushing you, me, and everyone else away because we keep letting him. Let's not let him, Iris said. Joe nodded and decided to approach him. He stepped in and noticed Barry staring at the cosmic treadmill. He was preoccupied with something.
I came in here because I needed to be alone, Barry explained to Joe. You've been alone for the past 6 months, Barry, and I thought seeing everyone here today would have been the kick you needed, but I can see your content staying in your little bubble, Joe observed.
Iris is correct. For the last 6 months, I've given you your space to work it all out, come back to us, but no more training wheels. We're not going away just because you say so or stop letting us in. We're as invested in everything going on here as you are, and if there's a chance that Naruto is out there, we all need to come together to bring him home, Barry.
He wouldn't be lost if it weren't for me, Barry explained. Joe recognized what Barry was going through at this point. He was suffering from survivor's guilt as a result of what had happened with Thawne and the singularity. He held himself responsible for what happened to Eddie, Ronnie, and Naruto.
Do you want me to tell you it wasn't your fault? It couldn't be. It was. But guess what? You weren't the only one making decisions that day. Eddie, Ronnie, and Naruto. They chose to help you stop Wells, and stop that.
Barry mentioned the term, singularity. Singularity thing. It's on all of us, Barry, Joe said. Stop hogging all the blame and regret. We all have to live with it. Move on. I know you've done everything you can to rebuild this city after what happened, but that's not going to help you. You should start rebuilding things that really matter, because you're not the only one who's been hurting. Joe was moved by Barry's work and decided to pay Linda a visit. She'd gone to the group home run by Tsunade and Shizune. He came in and spotted some of the kids playing games or watching TV in the living room. They recognized him and waved, and he reciprocated. That's when he noticed the modest shrine they'd erected in the foyer for Naruto. When he heard conversation coming from the kitchen, there were photographs of him and candles made up in his honor. So, Naruto was transported through the black hole into a world about your favorite TV show? Tsunade inquired as she poured coffee for her, Shizune, and herself as the trio sat around the kitchen table. Not exactly, but something clearly happened to my supernatural DVD. Gideon did say the multiverse was real, so maybe Naruto's trapped on a world like Supernatural. It still doesn't explain how my DVD changed, but Cisco saw it in his vision and Gideon said it's a possibility. Linda simply interlaced her hands and breathed a heavy sigh of relief and desperation. I understand how crazy this sounds. A little, and it would if it came from anyone else, but we know you wouldn't make something like this up, Tsunade informed her, and Linda smiled.
How are you going to find Naruto if he's really out there in the multiverse? Shizune wondered.
I'm not sure, but if he's out there, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get him home, Linda assured. It helps that she won't do it alone, they thought as they heard Barry standing near the doorway. "Barry, hello." Tsunade and Shizune grinned, pleased to see him. Linda was as well, but she hadn't expected to see him here. "It's been quite a while." "Yeah, it has. Sorry for just showing up, but I was in the neighborhood and wanted to see how everyone was doing," he added. "Can I speak to Linda for a second?" "Sure thing. We've got to make sure the kids are getting their homework done." Tsunade and Shizune get up and depart so Barry and Linda can enjoy some peace.
Twice in the same day. "Guess things are really changing," Linda said, not so subtly to Barry. Barry grabbed up something and let out a big sigh of regret. "I know I've been distant for a while, Linda." "A while?" she asked. "It's been months, Barry. It's been 6 months since that day, 6 months of being alone with Naruto gone, and I could have used someone there. The others were there, but not you, at a time when I needed you the most."
Linda began to crack as her eyes welled up and her voice began to break. Barry approached her and engulfed her in a hug that she melted into. He hugged her close and massaged his hands along her back, trying to comfort her as she sobbed. The two friends enjoyed a long overdue group moment of grief, crying, and healing. I know, I was an idiot," he admitted to her.
"That's nothing new, Barry. You being an idiot is just part of who you are now," Linda replied, although her chuckle at the end revealed she didn't hold a grudge against him.
"We wouldn't be in this mess if I had let Naruto take the lead," Barry explained. "He was the smarter of the two of us, even with Thawne's growing brain. He warned me not to listen to Thawne, but I wouldn't listen. It's my fault everything happened. I'm sorry, Linda. I should have saved him, Linda. I'm so sorry."
"Barry, I know you did everything you could have done, and Naruto knows it as well."
"No matter what you would have done, Naruto would have backed you up no matter what. No one forces him to do anything. He helped you because deep down he knew that saving your mother meant everything. Despite what happened, you and Naruto were like brothers, and sure, you made a mistake and Naruto wanted nothing to do with you. Hell, I wanted nothing to do with you." For they both grinned as they brushed away the tears that were building around their eyes. "I promise you, Linda, if Naruto is out there, we will do everything we can to get him back, no matter what," Barry vowed. "I know, but there's one more person we need with us," Linda remarked, and Barry understood who she was talking about, so the two went to Mercury Labs. They registered as visitors and proceeded to Caitlin's lab. Linda tapped on the door to draw her attention to her and Barry. "Hey, Caitlin." "Linda, Barry." Caitlin was taken aback to see them both here. "What exactly are you two doing here?"
"I should have called or something, but I wanted to see you," Barry apologized.
Caitlin commented, "It's been a while." "Yeah, I know," Barry said, pausing when Linda approached Caitlin and hugged her. "I should have contacted Linda sooner, but as Linda has pointed out, I'm an idiot."
"So, nothing's changed," Caitlin remarked, and the four laughed a little. "Caitlin, I'm so sorry. Ronnie died trying to save me, and I should have saved him. I'm so sorry. I know you did everything you could. It wasn't your fault. I don't blame you for Ronnie's death. I blame myself," Caitlin explained.
"Why?" Barry inquired. "When Ronnie first became Firestorm, he asked me to leave Central City and go somewhere where we could have a normal life, and I said no," Caitlin said, her eyes welling up. "I couldn't leave Star Labs. You and Naruto behind. Dr. Wells, if I had gone with him, Ronnie would still be alive. Being at Star Labs just made me think about that every single day."
Barry took out a handkerchief from his back pocket. "Here."
"Oh, you're carrying a handkerchief now. What are you, 80? Linda inquired. "It's come in handy," he conceded as he handed it to her as something fell to the floor. It was a thumb drive.
"What's that?" Linda inquired. It's a..." "Apparently, in the event of his death, Wells, Thawne had some kind of living will, which he left to me," he explained.
"And you haven't watched it, have you?" Linda inquired. No, I've been too afraid," he confessed. "What if we watch it together?" Caitlin suggested, which seemed to help. When Barry inserted the flash disk into Caitlin's monitor, a message began to play. Dr. Wells Eobard Thawne arrived on the screen and removed his glasses in front of a camera capturing the message. Seeing him again triggered a flood of bad feelings for Barry, Linda, and Caitlin, but they persevered. "Hello, Barry. If you're reading this, it means something has gone horribly wrong. I'm dead, and the last 15 years have been for nothing. Bummer. 15 years. You know, when I realized that in all those years helping raise you, we were never truly enemies, Barry. At least, not the two of us. I'm not the thing you hate. And so, in a moment of generosity, I want to give you the thing you want most. They watched as Thawne removed some sort of future equipment from the side and inserted an IV line to his arm. He touched a button and grimaced in pain as his face morphed on the screen. Dr. Wells' face turned into that of the actual Eobard Thawne, complete with blonde hair and blue eyes, as Barry, Linda, and Caitlin watched. Barry recognized Thawne's visage from right before he was erased from existence. Ha! That process is always unsettling. This is me, Barry, the real me. Eobard Thawne, your greatest enemy and now, your key to getting what you want. So, erase everything up to this point and give the following message to the police. My name is Eobard Thawne. Being of sound mind and body, I freely confess to the murder of Nora Allen. In her home, on the night of March 18, 2000.
Barry stood in startled silence, unable to comprehend what he was witnessing. Linda exclaimed, "Oh my God," he confessed. "This is it. This is what I need to free my father," Barry said as he pulled out his phone and dialed Joe's number. "Hey, Joe. Yeah, hey, can you have everybody meet me at Star Labs?" "Yeah, alright, thanks. Alright, bye."
Caitlin offered to drive, and Barry nodded. Linda patted Barry on the shoulder, as it appeared that his father was about to be released. X-line break. Everyone gathered at Star Labs in the Cortex to see the test run on Cisco's new goggles to see if Naruto was truly alive and well somewhere in the multiverse. Cisco and Professor Stein had completed the necessary adjustments with Gideon's assistance. But first and foremost, they needed to discover if the latest revelation and gift left behind by none other than Eobard Thawne would be enough to rescue Henry Allen from prison. While Barry strode back and forth behind Joe in the hallway, he was conversing with the Ada about the recent development in the case. "Do you think the video is enough?" Joe inquired, listening to the answer. Okay, sure. What's she saying?" Barry was perplexed. "Hold on," Joe said, muting his phone. Thawne provided all of the necessary details. "It's not a done deal yet, but the DA says it looks promising." Barry grinned and hugged Joe before entering the Cortex, where he was greeted by Iris, Cisco, Caitlin, Professor Stein, Tsunade, Shizune, Gaara, Tamari, and Konkuro. Iris inquired, "Is it good news?" "I believe so," Barry replied as she hugged him. Both were overjoyed with the wonderful news.
"What I don't understand is how," Gaara exclaimed. "I'm sorry to interrupt the moment, and I'm glad your father is getting out, but how? I mean, it's Thawne, so are the cops going to be able to prosecute anyone?" "Given that he was erased from existence," Tsunade said, "I'm going with a soft no." Gaara does have a point. Thawne's confession wasn't as Dr. Wells, but as Eobard Thawne. Does he exist here? Caitlin questioned.
Turns out he does. In Keystone City. In Thawne's confession, he said he was a disgruntled patient of my father, which is why he went after my mom and planted the evidence against him. Joe checked, and there is an Eobard Thawne that lived in Keystone. Same face, fingerprints, social security, birth certificate, it was all there, Barry explained.
Wow. So Thawne went to all that trouble to create a fake person for the confession that would free your father. Sounds remarkable given how much he despised you, Professor Stein observed when Linda discovered something.
I don't think that part was for Barry, I think it was for Naruto, Linda replied, drawing everyone's attention to her. Joe had entered the brain and heard what she had said. Despite his hatred for him and Barry, Thawne practically raised him. If Thawne really made this confession, he wouldn't want to use Dr. Wells. If that happened, everything Naruto has done would be ruined. Thawne was a lot of things, but I think he actually cared about Naruto too much to do something like that. Do you really believe that? Iris inquired. Thawne and Naruto had a bond and relationship that no one here understood, and that closeness caused some of us here, especially me, to doubt his loyalty and faith in the team, Barry admitted, with Cisco and Joe feeling just as guilty as him. It's one of the biggest regrets I've had to live with since then, and it's something I need to atone for, which is why I'm making this promise now. If Naruto is out there, I won't rest until he's back home where he belongs. Sounds kind of impossible, Shizune commented as Barry took a breather. I know I've distanced myself from everyone after what happened, and I'm sorry. I thought it'd be easier for me to go at things alone, but some reminders from good friends pointed out that I didn't need to carry the weight of my mistakes alone, Barry said, with Linda and Caitlin smiling. This is something Naruto would want us to do together. Joe declared, together. Professor Stein concurred, hear hear. Iris agreed, saying, I'm in. The same for us, Cisco and Caitlin added.
Naruto risked his life to save me. I couldn't call myself a friend unless I did the same for him, Gaara stated.
I'm not sure how much assistance we can provide, but count us in, Tsunade replied, with Shizune, Tamari, and Kankuro all nodding in agreement. So, what's our first step?
First and foremost, we need to make sure Naruto is okay. Cisco, are you ready? Barry questioned. Am I ever? Cisco remarked as Professor Stein approached with his new customized ultra-frequency stimulant goggles, which he worn months earlier when they needed to restore his visions. Gideon went over everything with us, and we're ready to put this to the test.
We've added a wavelength trigger to stimulate the adrenaline receptors in Mr. Raymond's brain and change the frequency modulator that put him into a slow wave sleep into a now fourth wave sleep, Professor Stein explained. Vibes. Caitlin was perplexed. Gideon said that my visions are caused by my powers. Apparently, I'm a viber, which is what allows me to do what I do. I figured calling the visions vibes sounded better. Cisco explained.
Vibe. Iris whispered aloud, and it sounded good. I guess Cisco now has his own metahuman name. I never imagined it would happen this way, Cisco said. When Professor Stein put on the goggles, the lenses turned blue instead of green. Shall we, Mr. Vibe? Linda wished him good luck, and he nodded. Wait a minute, Naruto. I'm coming. Cisco put on the goggles, and his vision began to blue shift again a few seconds later.
Indistinct sounds rang all about him as he saw what appeared to be jumbled together bits of events occurring all around him, as if he were in the middle of this empty space of his own images. What are you seeing, Cisco? He heard Professor Stein say something, but it seemed like an echo because he was in his mood. It's difficult to explain. It's a variety of occurrences. Various events in time. I see Naruto in some of them, but they must be from the past, Cisco explained. Perhaps a physical trigger for his vibes would help narrow them down, Caitlin offered, so Linda walked over and handed him the Supernatural DVD with the Naruto cameo, and the visions began to change and he began to see the events from the show that they had seen play out.
Alright, I guess it's working. I notice him. He appears just like he does on the DVD. It's him, Cisco confirmed.
Alright, Cisco. Just concentrate on Naruto now. See everything you can, Professor Stein advised, guiding him through his vibes. Okay. Cisco closed his eyes and focused on the fluttering images, which began to slow down until only a few were playing out at a time, until one image caught his attention, Naruto rushing down the same blue light tunnel he had seen earlier. I see him. Professor Stein directed, go towards him. Cisco focused and found himself outside of Star Labs with the others, all of whom were looking up at the sky at the black hole over the city that was growing larger by the second. He must have been vibing the moment right before the singularity collapsed because he saw Naruto and Barry put on their masks and race up to the black hole.
I'm seeing a singularity over the city, Cisco said.
You must be seeing things from the past. Cisco, keep an eye on things, Professor Stein said. Cisco saw Firestorm in the center of the singularity before they separated in the eye of it, causing it to collapse. He knew how Barry and Stein survived, but he now saw Naruto and Ronnie falling through the air, and Naruto quickly steered himself over to grab him.
Gotcha. Naruto then noticed they were heading for a building's roof. Ronnie, hold on tight.
Naruto spun his arms swiftly, creating wind funnels that slowed him and Ronnie down, preventing them from dying when they collided with the building's roof, but it still hurt as the two smashed and rolled from the impact.
Oh, son of a bitch. Naruto grabbed his side in anguish as he looked across at Ronnie, who was doing the same.
Yeah, but I think I broke something. Me too, Naruto said, rising to his feet and not noticing a black hole in the sky. I think we did it. Gideon, did that suffice? Yes, it did, she said, but you have another problem. Problem? What is the issue? Is there another black hole? Naruto was perplexed.
No, but given the circumstances, I'm unable to connect to Star Labs, Gideon explained.
Circumstances? When Ronnie nudged Naruto on the shoulder to turn around, he was perplexed. Oh. He realized the problem as they were in Central City, given by what was shown on the side of a blimp, but from what he knew, there weren't supposed to be blimps in Central City, and the entire city looked different. The architecture, design, even the railway system they could see in the distance wasn't right. It honestly looked like a city that belonged back in the 40s.
That's a big circumstance, Ronnie said as Naruto removed his mask. Where the hell are we? Naruto exclaimed. Gideon was correct. When we closed the singularity, the force pushed Naruto and Ronnie through it to another Earth. Caitlin, Ronnie is alive, Cisco explained.
Ronnie's alive? Caitlin asked, surprised. Cisco, are you sure? Barry inquired. Yeah, I see him with Naruto now. Hang on. Cisco noticed his aura distorting. I believe the mood is changing.
A sewage grate on the street exploded, releasing a massive torrent of sand from the sewers, causing automobiles to come to a halt and pedestrians to flee in terror. Cisco witnessed what appeared to be Naruto's mother flee in terror, but before he could ask any further questions, he noticed the sandstorm pool together to create a human.
It was a metahuman, and he was shortly joined by another metahuman, the head of which was a blazing skull with green flames. When Cisco noticed Naruto's lightning trail, they began assaulting property and putting innocent civilians in peril. He ran onto the street, ignoring the two metahumans attempting to stop him, and supersed all nearby bystanders to safety before stopping in the street but keeping his body vibrating at superspeed to disguise his figure. Naruto utilized wind funnels to force Atomic Skull back, then used his tremendous heat to knock out Sand Demon with a fire hydrant.
He then saw Naruto fighting Deathstroke in what appeared to be a research lab before the atmosphere changed to Naruto and Ronnie doing some work in the warehouse where they were residing.
All right, the darts should be ready to go, Ronnie said as he loaded one of them with water to test the delivery system. We could fire these from the icer, or you could just stick zoom with them if you get close enough.
Sounds good, but getting close to a speedster is usually a bad idea, and given how this zoom is practically Hannibal Lecter, keeping our distance is our best bet, Naruto said before inserting some nanites into a dart. There, done.
Now all that's left is to test it. Do you want to volunteer? Ronnie inquired.
No, this should work. The trick now is to wait until Zoom appears. We've got a possible way to deal with Zoom. Now all we need is a way home, Naruto questioned. Gideon showed them the calculations she conducted, and none of the models provided a definitive technique for opening a breach to get home.
Okay, fair enough. Right now, Gideon's only option for opening a breach is to detonate a nuclear warhead next to the city's power grid, Naruto proposed. It's unmistakably our Ronnie and Naruto. Caitlin had tears welling up in her eyes as Linda hugged her from the side, both of them relieved that their significant others were still alive. Naruto's already faced off against two metahumans on this Earth and said there's a third named Zoom after them. He has to be a speedster.
How do you know? Barry was perplexed. He used the same nanites against Thawne. He must need a way to slow down. Cisco replied. They're still working on a way to get back. Naruto carries a copy of Gideon. Wait a minute.
Cisco's vibe then showed him a surprise attack on the warehouse Naruto and Ronnie were staying at by unknown metahumans. Despite being outnumbered, Naruto's speed more than compensated for it and he was able to take out. That's when he saw one of the building's walls vaporize and out walked Ronnie, but it wasn't the Ronnie Cisco knew. It was like a twisted mirror version. All right, is it a good-looking devil? It's like looking in a mirror, Deathstorm grinned, prompting Ronnie to sigh in distaste. Yeah, a twisted funhouse mirror, Ronnie explained as he pointed his revolver at his wicked doppelganger.
And the good times don't stop there. A cool breeze came in and quenched the flames surrounding the crater Deathstorm had caused before another version of Caitlin strolled in, but this one was a metahuman with ice powers. Killing always makes me grin. Great, evil Kaden has arrived, Naruto mumbled as a bright red scythe sliced a massive hole in another wall and an explosion of some type blew it wide, causing Naruto and Ronnie to flee.
Vibe metapower has been detected, Gideon informed Naruto, and in walked a version of Cisco wearing a leather jacket and the same goggles he was wearing, but with a long ponytail. And the gang is all together, Ronnie replied, preparing his icer shotgun.
Oh my goodness. Why the ponytail of all things? Cisco was taken aback.
What's going on, Cisco? Iris inquired. Naruto and Ronnie were attacked by metahumans. Who resemble us, Cisco explained. So, evil clones exist on another planet. Joe sought clarification. No, these aren't clones, they're your doppelgangers for that planet. As I previously stated, there are copies of ourselves on these other Earths in the universe that could be extraordinarily similar or wildly different from us. It appears that the worlds Naruto and Ronald have found themselves on have versions of us who have taken the less desirable path, Professor Stein remarked. Evil us. Can't be something Naruto and Ronnie were looking forward to meeting, Caitlin commented as Cisco's feeling persisted. Before everything changed, he saw Naruto and Ronnie defeat the evil doppelgangers. Gideon advised Naruto that Cisco's doppelganger had comparable abilities and could track him. To prevent this from happening, Gideon suggests infusing some of the nanites into their bodies. They would generate a pulse, making tracking them very impossible, so they did. Cisco's vibes became irregular after that. Something's wrong, my vibes are getting crazy, Cisco said. He attempted to focus and acquire a clear and clean sensation, but he only received bits and pieces. He saw Naruto working in a lab and then flashed back to him fighting a speedster with blue lightning he assumed was Zoom. And the last thing he saw was Naruto rushing through a blue energy tunnel. Cisco was doing his best, but he hadn't had much practice with his skills, so his brain was working overtime, causing him to bleed from the nose. Cisco, stop, you're bleeding, Barry said, as Cisco's visions ended and he removed his goggles. Ah, Cisco stumbled and gripped his head in pain, but Joe and Barry caught him. I'm fine, I just have a headache. While the new goggles allow you to use your powers, extended periods in a vibe at this point are not recommended. Too much use at this early stage could prove dangerous. Gideon warned him.
Thank you, Gideon, Cisco said as he wiped his nose with a tissue and drank some water. What happened at the end, Cisco? Everything was fine until you started bleeding, Linda asked.
I'm not sure. The last thing I saw was Naruto and Ronnie dealing with our evil doppelgangers. Apparently mine has powers like mine but zero fashion sense. You should have seen the jacket and ponytail. I mean, Cisco shivered. But apparently Naruto did something to make himself harder to track because my vibes became erratic after that, like I couldn't get a solid lock on Naruto anymore.
It makes sense. If Naruto faced Cisco's doppelganger with the same powers and devised a way to obscure himself from being seen by him, then Cisco would do the same, Professor Stein explained.
So, what does this mean? Does it mean we can't find Naruto anymore? Tsunade wondered. I'm not sure. I tried and got glimpses, but nothing too focused after my vibes became erratic, Cisco replied. But I can try again.
Let's save that for another day. If Gideon is correct, using your powers too often is dangerous until you get better at them. We should get you checked out, Caitlin said, and Cisco nodded.
The important thing is that we know Naruto and Ronnie are alive, so we can focus on getting them back, Barry said when the computer alerted him. A bank robbery was now taking place. Go get them, Flash, Joe said, and everyone nodded, so Barry dressed up and dashed into the city, full of new optimism. Two of his pals were stuck on an alternate universe, and he would do anything to bring them back. X-Line break, Central City, Earth 2, Star Labs. The sound of a running sink could be heard in one of the vacant rooms at Star Laboratories, and its tenant was doing some hygiene.
Naruto, who had just come out of the shower and cleaned up, was the inhabitant. He cleaned his razor in the sink before turning off the water and wiped his face with a towel.
When he looked in the mirror, he wasn't sure whether it was just his imagination, but he felt like he had aged years since his multiversal experience.
All that running and traveling to different planets, assisting new friends with their issues and making things better than when he arrived was fine, and as a hero, he felt a feeling of responsibility to assist. But he had to confess that all of that travel had made him feel 10 years older. It had its positives and negatives, and he prayed he wouldn't run into Godspeed again.
When he went out of the bathroom and into clean clothing, he heard a knock on the door. Come on in.
Ronnie entered through the open door. How are you, Naruto? Yeah, I'm fine. A shower and a shave and I'll be fine, Naruto assured him. That's great news. Your parents and Wells are in the breach room, Ronnie said, and they went there. I'm sorry to hear that your attempt to return to Earth 1 was unsuccessful. Me too, but the journey did provide me with some useful data, and now that I'm back in Star Labs, we can figure out how to get home, Naruto vowed. Any word from Zoom?
No, not since your fight with him. It's been months, and to be honest, everyone feels like they're waiting for another shoe to drop. In fact, Wells believes you may have killed him, Ronnie stated. I don't think so. My gut tells me Zoom is still out there, just biding his time, which is why we need to figure out how to get home so we can get help to take him down, Naruto explained. Amen to that, Ronnie replied as they entered the breach room, where they saw Dr. Wells, Minato, and Kushina working on the data Gideon had given them, as well as looking at everything Naruto had in his pack when he returned. The items he had shrunk were returned to their original sizes. It's great to have you back, Kushina said as he moved up to hug Naruto. We became concerned about you after the first month you were gone, or is it 4 months to you? Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened, but clearly the trip felt a lot longer to me for a reason. Naruto said, but I'm glad to be back safe and sound. Clearly you didn't spend your 8 months away just running, Minato said as he examined the Valerian steel, vibranium reverse blade katana Naruto brought with him. Did you make this?
Yeah, with some help from Gideon, and it turns out there was an Earth from Game of Thrones in the multiverse, Naruto explained.
Seriously? Ronnie asked, thinking he was joking. I'm serious, and the characters from the show look exactly like their actors. Here, Naruto pulled out his phone to show him a quick speed selfie he made with Daenerys when he was on that planet. Linda and Cisco are gonna be so jealous. I'm glad you wasted your time on other planets instead of trying to find your way back to your own, Wells said. Ah, Wells, still as bitter with that giant stick up your ass, huh? Remarked Naruto.
Minato joked, please, that stick is permanently stuck up there. Anyway, the trip wasn't a total flop. I got close to Earth 1 several times, but there's a Tachyon energy field surrounding the dimension's vibrational frequency, Naruto said as he clicked a few buttons on his watch to reconnect Gideon to Earth 2's star laboratory system. Gideon, please project the data.
Of course, when Naruto tried to approach Earth 1 and was sent back by the Tachyon energy field, a hologram projected the critical data Gideon obtained. Oh, yeah, that'll do, Minato said. Unless you can travel at the speed of light, you won't be able to get past that barrier.
Why not use the Tachyon speed enhancer? Suggested Ronnie.
No, Naruto has already used it twice to get a speed boost, any more will damage the speed force in his cells, Kushina explained. In theory, Naruto's speed will increase over time, but reaching light speed will most likely take years. We don't have time, so when you and Ronnie were knocked from your Earth into ours via the singularity and closed it, the energy cascaded out and created the energy field over your Earth's dimensional frequency. Wells remarked. Gideon suggests that the collapse of the singularity that created the energy field was not complete. There are likely cracks in the energy field that could connect Earth 1 to other Earths in the multiverse, and given the close proximity of Earth 1 to Earth 2 and the fact that the singularity was above the sky here, there's a chance one of those portals is on this Earth, Naruto explained. So, if we find one of those portals, we might be able to get home a lot sooner, Ronnie stated, smiling at the possibility. But we've been here for months, surely we'd have noticed signs of a breach or portal to another planet, right? Not necessarily, Dr. Wells said as he logged into his computer and began performing some calculations. If the Tachyon barrier over Earth 1 appeared after the singularity collapse, we know that it contained transdimensional energy, which is the energy of the multiverse and what Naruto most likely encountered during his travels. If the singularity collapse opened up portals connecting Earth 1 to other Earths, transdimensional energy would leak out and flow between the two planes of existence, which is what would make these portals, but in some cases the amount of TRA. We can make some changes to the Star Labs satellites and upload an electrophotography program that will allow us to capture the location of any type of portal here in Central City, Minato proposed. Once we do that, Naruto and Ronnie have a chance of getting home, Kushina stated, and Ronnie smiled, but saw Naruto wasn't as happy. Are you okay, Naruto? This is good news, Ronnie reassured him. And if there's anyone who can get us home, it's you.
No, it's just. What is it, Naruto? Minato inquired.
Have you ever had that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach that something bad is about to happen? Naruto inquired, and they all nodded. I'm getting that now, and I have a feeling something bad is going to happen. Zoom's den. Hunter Zolomon arched his neck and back as blue lightning flashed through his body. All of his injuries from his fight with Impulse had healed, but the nanites he had been injected with were still slowing him down to a fraction of his previous speed. Fortunately, Zoom had enough money to seek assistance and find someone to repair him. The person in charge was currently shackled to a workbench, manufacturing something per Zoom's orders. Dr. Clifford DeVoe was the guy in question, a great scientist from Keystone City who gave Dr. Wells a run for his money. Zoom needed his talent, but DeVoe refused to work for a crazed monster. That was until Zoom threatened DeVoe's wife Marliese, telling him that unless he did what he was ordered, he would never see his wife again. How much longer? Solomon inquired of DeVoe. I'm almost finished, DeVoe said as he finalized the final modification to a quantum tachyon matrix. It was not the same as the tachyon matrix Naruto used on himself, but it was near enough to give Zoom an increase in speed, which was just what he needed.
Just know that if you try to cross me, your wife will pay for your mistakes, Solomon cautioned DeVoe, and the guy bowed before returning to work humbly. He completed adding the final components to the matrix. The core began to glow red and was turned on.
All right, it's ready, DeVoe said, hooking the quantum tachyon matrix onto Zoom's chest and activating it. Zoom's body was flooded with energy as the brilliant red energy core increased the speed force in his cells. RAHH. Zoom yelled to the sky as blue lightning flashed all around him, but suddenly blood crimson lightning erupted. Zoom felt his rage and loathing for Impulse bubble to the surface and then burst, filling him with more speed and power than he had before felt. He began vibrating his body, and the nanites eventually phased out, restoring his full speed but now with a speed increase. He flew away, only to reappear in his outfit in the twinkling of an eye. His blue and now red lightning were clashing with the black. Power. I did what you asked. Now, please let my wife go, DeVoe pleaded, and Zoom supersped away, returning with his wife. Marliese. He dashed over, and the two hugged, both relieved to be in each other's arms despite their circumstances. But the moment was cut short as Zoom vibrated his hand between the husband and wife, killing them both. He yanked his arm free, and the two fell to the ground lifeless, but in their final seconds, they found the strength to clasp their hands together, dying in each other's embrace.
Zoom couldn't give a damn about them. He had a score to settle with Impulse, but while he was recovering from their fight, he did some study and discovered two things. The first was that Impulse had certainly received assistance from Star Labs.
The technology he employed throughout their struggle was proof of this. Star Laboratories was the only site where such things could be created. The second was that Impulse was most likely not from his planet. Until Impulse came when the big black hole in the sky formed, he was the only one on this planet with speed. He spotted two speedsters before the black hole closed, thus one of them had to be Impulse. His time remnant was on Earth-1 investigating the other speedster, but Impulse was equally essential.
Zoom supersped away and reappeared in another portion of his lair, holding someone captive in a carbine chamber. The prisoner was made to wear a unique helmet that prevented him from communicating or using his abilities to escape. As the demonic speedster approached, he and Zoom locked gazes. "You'll have company soon enough. Jay Garrick," Zoom said as he zoomed away. Star Laboratories Naruto and the others were adjusting the Star Lab satellites in order to possibly capture possible transdimensional energy gateways to Earth-1.
While Naruto and Dr. Wells worked on the programming, Minato and Ronnie worked on a new set of repulsor gauntlets for Naruto. When he faced the White Walker, his right one was destroyed, and his left one required some TLC. Having both aided him in his struggle against Zoom the last time, getting them back in working order would be advantageous if Zoom appeared. Kushina was in her office with Mito, who had just gotten out of school. They had the TV on for background noise while they worked, and the news was reporting on the events in Star City. And the Arrow of Starling City defeated a complex human trafficking ring and, if eyewitness reports are to be believed, a group of highly skilled black-clad ninjas while saving several innocent bystanders, the reporter announced while showing photos and videos of the Arrow and his work.
"Good on you, Mr. Queen," Naruto grumbled as he and Wells continued to work.
In other news, Robert Queen's unexpected return to Queen Consolidated has turned the business world on its head with, "Excuse me," the reporter paused as he received new information over his earpiece. "I'm receiving word that there has been an attack at Central City College, with the science building being the target of yet another metahuman attack. We have just received video, but please be advised that the footage you are about to see may be disturbing to some viewers."
Wells raised his head and stared at the television, concerned. Jesse attended Central City College. Naruto recognized this as well, and he hurried out of Star Labs and headed there as quickly as he could. Wells got out his phone and dialed Jess's number. "Hey, Jesse, it's Dad. Can you, I saw on the news, just call me, all right?"
Wells, Ronnie, and Minato were watching the news when they noticed Impulse arrive to campus. He started scanning the wreckage for survivors, and there were a few views, but then they noticed him pause near some rubble and pick something up. The camera got an excellent look at what it was, and it was a phone. The phone was ringing, and Wells was identified as Daddy on the caller ID. Jess's phone rang.
"Oh my God." Minato gasped in terror, as did Wells, when the news announced that the metahuman had escaped with an unidentified hostage.
Impulse ran around the college 10 times, inspecting all of the attack's destruction and wreckage. He discovered some bodies and many injured people, but none of them were Jesse. He then reviewed the campus's security cameras, which went down shortly after the attack, although he was able to detect a faint flicker of blue lightning just before it went down. Jesse and Zoom were nowhere to be found as Impulse raced around every square mile of Central City 100 times. He came to a halt on the edge of the roof of Central City's tallest structure and gazed out over the city, hoping to find some kind of indication or trail as to where Zoom had taken Jesse, but there was none. Zoom
reappeared in his lair, this time with Jesse, and imprisoned her in a cell adjacent to Jay. "Comfort yourself, Jesse Wells. You're going to be here for a long time."
"What do you want with me? Why are you doing this?" Jesse managed to say despite her terror. Zoom told her, "Your father chose to help the wrong person." Jesse pieced the puzzle together and knew who he was talking about. "That other speedster is going to stop you," Jesse predicted. "No. He won't. His spine will snap under my boot soon enough." Zoom chuckled as blue and blood-red lightning flashed around his torso. Jesse and Jay could only watch in dread, hoping that someone would come to their aid. But he's only the first. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed this part of the story, and if it did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for your support, and have a great day.